Hello everyone, welcome to another project that we are going to build using Node.js. And this project is called Email Reminder. Let's read more about this project. Email Reminder is a full-stack web application that allows users to schedule email reminders for important tasks and communications. The system automatically sends reminder emails at the specified time, ensuring you never miss a follow-up or important deadline. And these are the key features about this project: schedule email reminders, view all reminders, automatic email delivery, and simple interface. And we are going to use Node.js with Express, MongoDB, Node-Mailer, Node-Cron, Bootstrap, and JWT. In case you are new to Node.js, I have 2 hours crash course on our YouTube channel. But in case you want to master full stack web development using MongoDB, I have a complete course on Udemy. Before we get into code, let's have a look at the live demo. We have the home page here with this content, and then the reminders, schedule, and then the about. I'm going to begin to schedule a reminder, and in here I'm going to provide my email address. Make sure to use real email address, and the reminder message is going to be like this: I will be having project discussion with my client. And then the date, I'm going to select 29th April, and then the time, let me check my current time here, it is 8:52. Let me select 54, which means that after 2 minutes we are going to see our reminder. Then click on the schedule reminder, and it has been scheduled. If I check my reminders here, this is my reminder, and the state here is pending, and on this date with this time the message will be delivered into my email address. Let me log in into my email address. At this point I haven't received any email. Let's wait after, let me check, that is 8:54. We have 1 minute left, so let's wait. And the email has been sent. Let me confirm from my email address, and indeed we got the email from Masintech, and that is reminder. If I click on that, this is the message that has been sent. So this is what we are going to build. This is a simple project but powerful. Now let's look at the logic behind this one. Let's get back to the about here. We have Node.js and then Express. Node.js with Express is for the server creation, and the MongoDB for storing the reminders. And then the Node-Mailer is for sending of the emails, and Node-Cron is used to schedule a task to run in the future. In the UI, we're going to use Bootstrap 5 and Node.js as our HTML template. Now, let's get back to Visual Studio Code to get started. And before we continue, what this course doesn't cover is writing of the HTML and the CSS. Because of that, I'll provide you the starter template with both the HTML and CSS being implemented. The main goal here is to focus on the main logic, and that is the JavaScript and then Node.js logics. Alright, so let's get back to Visual Studio Code. I have the folder here. If you open it, we have the final and then the starter template. I'm going to open the whole of this project using my editor, and that is Visual Studio Code. Alright, so in here I'm going to open the starter template to work on, which is this one. Good. Let me walk you through how this project has been structured. We have the package.json file, and these are the packages that we have installed: UJS, dotenv, Express, Express.js layout, Mongoose, Node-Cron, and then Node-Mailer. As we move on, I'll be explaining each of these packages. And then the app file, we have empty content, then the .env file. And then inside the views, this is where I have provided all the HTML template with the CSS, and then with the HTML, and that is the UJS. And then this is the index, which is the home page, the layout, reminders, schedule. Don't worry, I'll walk you through each of these templates, their use cases. The takeaway here is that I have given you the templates for both the HTML and then the CSS. If you look inside the models, we have a reminder without any logic. The next step is to implement the main logics. Now that we have the folder structure, let's get into the main logic, and we are going to write everything on the app.js. At the end, you can refactor this one to have different folders, or you can use MVC design pattern. Since this project is a simple project, I prefer to write all the codes on a single file. So let's begin with the packages importation. First of all, we need to require what is called the .env package. If you check in the package.json file, we have it as .env here. And this package is going to help us to have access to any variable that we're going to place it on the environment variable file. The main purpose of the .env package is going to help us to be able to access the data that we're going to place it on the environment variable. So in here, we need to require the package as require and then .env. On that, we have a method called config. With this one, whatever we place it on the environment variable, we can access it in our application. Then the next step is that we need to have our Express server as const Express is equal to require, then the Express, and then Mongoose for the data modeling. The next one is going to be the path module. The path module is going to help us to be able to access any asset in our application. In this case, it is a views folder. The main purpose of the path module here is that it is going to help us to be able to access any asset in our application. In this case, it is a views here. The next one is going to be the cron package. So here as Node-Cron. And the cron package here, like I said, it is going to help us to schedule a task that's going to be called in the future. So in here, I'm going to call this one as cron. And then the next one is going to be the package called node mailer. And node mailer is going to help us to be able to send email from Node.js application as node mailer. And then the express layout as express layout. The main purpose of the express layout is like this. Let me show you the final one. For this project, we have home, reminders, schedule, and then the about. For this one, I'm going to have navbar for each of these templates. For example, at the home page, we're going to have a navbar. Likewise, the reminders, we're going to have a navbar similar to schedule and then the about. For this one, we are duplicating codes around, which means that we're going to have navbar codes 1, 2, 3, 4 times. But with the express layout, we are going to have one navbar, and then we're going to display the individual content as we see over here. That's the purpose of the Express.js layout. The next one is going to be our model. At the moment, we don't have the model yet. So let me get back to the models here, and we have it as reminder. Up here, we are going to import Mongoose from Mongoose. And we need to have the schema as const reminder schema is equal to new mongoose.schema. And for the reminder, we will need the email from the user. The type is going to be a string, and then required true, and lastly trim is equal to true. For this one, we want to remove any white spacing. After the email, we will need the actual message, and it is a string, required true, and trim equal to true. The next one is going to be the schedule time. The type here is going to be date. It is required, no trim. And then I'm going to have sent. It's going to be a type of Boolean. And by default, it is false. And lastly, we need to compile the schema to form the model as module.export, which is equal to mongoose.model. The name of the model here is going to be reminder, and then our schema as reminder schema. Good. So back to the app.js, we can now import the reminder as reminder. Correct. Below here, I'm going to have Express instance. And it goes like this: const app is equal to Express as a function call. And we need to connect to MongoDB. The next step is going to be the middlewares for this project. The first middleware is app.use, and then inside we're going to pass in the express.url encoded, and then pass in extended equal to true. Now let me explain this line of code. The main purpose of this code is that it is going to use to pass data that comes from HTML forms. So without this one, we cannot send, for example, the reminder. We can't access the data that we want to send to the server. For example, the email and then the message similar to the date. So with this one, the application can now access what we want to send to the server for processing, and that is our reminder. The next one is going to be JSON data. So express as JSON. And the main purpose for this one also is that it is used to pass JSON data that comes in the request body. And this is essential for handling API requests where data is sent as JSON. So for this project, we can ignore this one, but let's maintain it. The next configuration is going to be setting of the template engine. We want to tell our application that, hey, Express, we are going to use UJS template engine, because Express can use different template engines like Pack. But UJS is simple and it follows HTML syntax. So in here, I'm going to say app.set. And the name of the view engine is called UJS. And the next step is that we need to serve the views inside the views folder. This is where the path module comes in. It goes like this: app.set, and then views, comma, then pass in the path.join. We are joining the underscore dir name. The dir name simply means the current working directory. For my case, it is inside the email folder and then the starter template, which is this one. So with this configuration, irrespective of any operating system, we can still run our application without breaking any changes when it comes to accessing the views folder. Then I'm going to bring in comma, the folder is called views. The next step is to configure the Express layout as app.set, and then pass in the Express layout, and lastly app.set layout, and then comma layout. Alright, so we have configured our application by using a couple of middlewares and also setting up the view engine for this project. We are going to connect our application to MongoDB as connectdb. And it goes like this: mongoose.connect. And then in here, we are going to pass in our connection string. For this, we are going to use .then to consume the promise. So here as .then and then .catch. .then here is going to be called when the connection is successful. And for catch, in case we have an error, we can catch the error or access the error in the catch here. So for each of these, we're going to pass in a callback function. Similar to the catch here, we have access to the error and then the callback function. In the .then here, which is this, I'm going to log by saying that connected to MongoDB. But in case we have an error, I'm going to say that log backtick error connecting to MongoDB, and I prefer to inject the error message as error.message. Good. So with this one, let's run the application to see if we're going to have an error. To run it, I'm going to use node and then the name of my file, in this case app.js. So here as node and then the app. And we have an error that says that connecting to MongoDB, which is invalid scheme. It expects connection string that starts with MongoDB, which means that everything is working fine. So how can we get the connection string? Let's get back to Google and then navigate into MongoDB website. I'm going to sign in because I have an account, otherwise click on get started. I'm going to click on log in. Alright, this is my dashboard. I'm going to have a new project. So click on this icon and then click on view all project and then create new project. The name of this project is called email-reminder and then next. Create. Then create a cluster. Make sure to select the free one. The name of my cluster, I'm going to use the name as my project. And for the provider, you can choose any of these, but I prefer AWS. And then the region, make sure to select a region that is close to you and then create deployment. Then click on the create database user and then choose connection string. And then click on the drivers. And there's a connection string that we need. Click on that, back to our project where we have the connection string, replace with this one. And let's do some modifications here. We want to rename our project. Therefore, I'm going to copy the name here as email reminder. And then before the question mark, paste that. This is going to be the name of our database. If you don't do it, MongoDB will give you test database. Good. So let's finish up with the configuration. Then click on the done. And then let's navigate into the network access. Click on the add IP address and then allow from anywhere. With this configuration, any user on the internet can access our database, and that is by reading or by performing CRUD operations. Now that we have our MongoDB connection string being ready, let's try to run the application to make sure that it is working perfectly. And we got connected to MongoDB. But let's place this connection string on the environment variable because this is sensitive. So back to the .env here. I'm going to have one called MongoDB, which is equal to that. Now, to be able to access this, we are going to use process.env.mongoURI as process.env.uri. Let's try out. Shut down, clear it, and there we go, it has been connected. And to avoid manually restarting the server, we can use what is called Node-Cron. But with the current version of Node.js, we can use a flag called --watch. So node --watch and the name of the file as app. With this one, if I make changes, for example 3 dots and then save it, as you can see, the server is restarting. Great. Now that we have MongoDB being configured, it is time for us to implement the main logics. We are going to render or display the home page and then the about page. And to do that, unless we have our server being running. So below here as start the server. And to do it, first step is that we will need what is called a port. And we can find it on the process.env.port. In case you don't have one, then we're going to use 3000. The port here simply means that we are opening a vacuum or a space where we want to receive incoming requests. The next step is that we need to run the application or the server by using app.listen and then pass in the port and then a callback function. And this is going to be called when the server got connected. I'm going to use backtick here and the message goes like this: server is running on port, and then inject the port. Good. So if I check the terminal, we have a port running on 3000, so I can change this one to 5000. Good. So now we can access our application on 5000. So back to the browser, I'm going to, let me close these guys. From here, the port here is 5000 and we have cannot get. The issue here is that we haven't implemented any route that matches /. And this is where we are going to display the home page. So to do that by using Node.js is going to be simple. So back to the app here, I'm going to have what is called the route for this application. The first one is going to be the home page route. Let me change the comment color to use that. And to do that, bring in app.get, because we want to get something from the server, and the path here is /. And then the callback function, we have access to the request and then the response. And it goes like this. And to be able to display the Node.js, which is our template engine, so regard Node.js as HTML. And to display the template or the HTML, in the views folder, we will locate which HTML file or the Node.js template that we want to use. In this case, index is the home page. So back here, I'm going to use on the response, we have what is called render. And for the render, we're going to pass in the location of the file. It is inside the views and then index. So in here, we can access it by using index. We can include the extension as Node.js, or we can ignore it because we have already configured them here as this. Then the second argument is going to be an object. For this one, we can pass additional data to the template so that we can access it on the template itself. So here, I want to send or pass the title of the page. For this one, it is called email reminder. Then the current page, which is equal to the home. With this one, if I save it and then preview it, when I visit /homepage, and this is the home page. Now let's look at how the rendering of the template works. Back to the code, inside the views folder, we have what is called the layout, which is this one. Now, let's have a look at the layout. For the title, this is how we are injecting the dynamic value from the backend. Note that we passed a property called title. If you check in the app.js here, these are the properties here, the title and then the current page. So we are accessing this one inside the template, which is this one as title. In case the user didn't provide the title, then we're going to use the email reminder as the title. And this is where we have the Bootstrap links and then the Bootstrap icons and Google font. And this is the styling for this homepage. And there's a nav bar with the email reminder as the name. And then we also have the home and a point to /. And in here, we have some conditional statement here. In case we have current page equal to home, then it is active. Otherwise, it is not. And there's a name for the home. And then the my reminders, this one point to a route. At the moment, you don't have any route that matches / reminders. And then the schedule. And this one also points to a schedule route in our server. And then about. All right, so now let's work on the about, which is this one, which means that when a user click on the about, we are going to show the about page. This means we need to have a route that matches / about. So back to the app.js, I'm going to copy this, paste, and then here as about page. The path here is going to be as about. And then we are going to render the about template, which is this one here. Good. And the title here is going to be about email reminder app. And then current page is equal to about. Good. So let's try out. If I reload and then click on the about, we have the about page. The next one is going to be the schedule, which means that we're going to have a form. When a user click on the schedule, we are going to display the schedule form. Let's look at the template for that. Let me close everything from here and then the schedule, which is this template. So back to the code, that is the app.js. We are going to have one route that's going to show the schedule form as page to show schedule form. And then the template is equal to schedule, which is this one. The name must be the same, otherwise it will not work. The title is equal to schedule reminder. Then the current page is schedule. With this one, if I reload and click on the schedule, we have the form. Now it is time for us to implement the actual scheduling of the reminders. This is where Node Mailer comes in. We are going to implement sending of email using a package called Node Mailer. If you visit Node Mailer, which is this one, it says that this is a module for Node.js applications that allows easy email sending. And we have already installed this package. And for Node Mailer, it can use different transporters. For example, email or SendGrid. But for this project, we are going to use Gmail account. The next step is that we need to have the implementation in our application. So before the route, that is after the MongoDB, I'm going to have the email transporter setup. And it goes like this: const transporter is equal to Node Mailer package, which is this one. On that, we have a method called create transport as an object with the following configurations. We have what is called the service. For the service, like I said, we can use different services. For example, SendGrid. But we are going to use Gmail for this one. And then comma the authentication as an object. And they're going to provide the user and then the password as pass. Now, how can we get the user and then the password? And we can get it from our Gmail account. So let's get back to Google and then make sure to log in into your email or Gmail account, and that is your Gmail account. And then click on your profile and then manage your Google account. Then click on the security and make sure to have two-step verification on your account. Otherwise, you can't get your password and your username. The next step is that, for me, I have already enabled two-step verification. The next step is search for app password, which is this one. And then before continue, unless I log in. So in here, I'm going to provide the name of my application. I'm going to call this one as email-reminder. And then create. And this is my app password. Copy that and then click done. So back here, I'm going to provide as this. And the user here is going to be your Gmail account name. For me, it is equal to inovodev@gmail.com. Good. And then bring comma here. And once again, since these data are sensitive, we need to place them on the environment variable. So back to the environment here, let me copy my password. Make sure to use your own password. After the MongoDB, I'm going to provide email_user and then email_password, and then place the password is supposed to be equal to, and then the username is equal to this Gmail account. But for me, I prefer to use this account, and that is marcintech@gmail.com. And there is my password. Great. The next step is that we need to access this one over here by using process.env.email_user. And then for the password is equal to this one, .user password. Now we have the transporter. We are going to use this one in the cron logic. But before that, unless we have a route to be able to schedule a reminder, to be able to schedule a reminder unless we have a route. So after the about or even the schedule form, I'm going to have one to implement the actual scheduling of the form. And this is where we are going to implement the actual logic. And I'm going to have a comment as actual logic for scheduling of reminders or reminder, and is equal to app.post. And the path is / schedule and then callback function use async, because we are going to talk to MongoDB, which is asynchronous, and then request rec and then response. Bring in try and catch block. Great. And then in the try, we are going to get the email from the user. If you look at the final one, which is this one for the schedule, we will need the email, the reminder, and then the date. If you look at the model also, it follows the same format. The email, message, schedule time, and then the sent. The sent will be updated after the email has been sent. So in here, I'm going to destructure email, message, and then date time, which is equal to rec.body. Then const reminder is equal to new, and then the reminder model, we're going to pass in the email, comma, the message, comma, and then the schedule time assigned to the new date, then pass in the date time from the form, which is this. And lastly, we need to await as await and then reminder.save. This logic is for saving the schedule into our database. And lastly, res.redirect. We are going to redirect the user to schedule by appending success as the params. Then question mark success is equal to true. And in case something goes wrong, we are going to redirect to the error page as error, then equal to true. It's time for us to call or use this route. How to do it? We are going to call it when submitting the form. So let's locate our working project, which is this one. So in here, if I provide, for example, this email, and I'm going to say my reminder, and then the date here, for example, this one. If I hit submit, I'm going to call this route. And how to do it? Let's get back to the schedule form, and it is inside the views folder, schedule here, and let's locate the form, which is this one. And for the action, we pass in the path to our route in our server, which means that this one points to this route, which is / schedule. And the method here is post. That is why we have the method here as post. And then for the individual input, we are going to provide what is called a name. The name here must match what we specified at the model and also in the route. In the route here, we need the email, the message, and we can access these properties on the form by using name and the value. So here name is equal to email, which means that we have email field inside our model similar to our route. The next one is going to be a name equal to message and then name equal to date time. And we can access the values on the name on the rec.body as we have already destructured. Now, moment of truth. Let me log the created schedule, the reminder instead. And let me open my terminal and then hit submit. We have an error, don't worry. And let's check the terminal. It says that ES is not defined on the app, line number 78. Maybe I made some typing mistake. Line number 78. Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be response. I think we got an error. That is why the catch block called. Great. So now let's try again. Let me reload and then provide some dummy data here as reminder. and then the date, submit. And let's check the terminal. Nothing seems to be logged. With this, if I provide email and then the reminder message, I'm going to say that project and then the date and then schedule. If I check the terminal, I'll be able to see the schedule that has been created, which is this one. And we can also visualize this one inside our Visual Studio Code. And to do that, make sure to install an extension called MongoDB. Search for MongoDB. And for me, I have already installed. And the next step is that after installation, you're going to see it as MongoDB icon over here. And then click on the plus icon and copy and paste your connection string. For me, I have done it already, and this is my connection string. I'm going to copy that one more time and then connect, paste, and then hit enter. And it is connecting. For me, I have done it already. So back here, I have it as email reminder, which is this one, and this is the name of my DB. I have two reminders that has been created, which is this and then that. So let me remove this one. I think I mess up with this, so remove that. It is gone. So we have one reminder. It is time for us to pull this data into the UI as reminders. To be able to implement the reminders similar to the final one, which is this one, we are going to loop through the reminders from the backend. And in here we have it as table with email, message, schedule, and then the status. And here we are checking in case we have no reminders, we're going to say that no reminders found. Schedule your first reminder to get started. Otherwise, we are going to loop through the reminders and then show them as email, message, and then the date. Alright, so now let's render this template first before we pull the actual data from the backend. So back to the app.js file, which is this one. I'm going to collapse this, and then I'm going to have one for getting all reminders. And to do that, we're going to use app.get. And then the path is equal to reminders. And then async, callback, rec, response, then try and catch block. In the try, we are going to talk to our database by fetching all the reminders. So here as const reminders is equal to await the reminder model dot find. This one will fetch all the reminders. And I want to sort by using sort by the schedule time. Pass in the object and then the schedule time. And I'm going to use 1 for this. And lastly, we are going to render the template. So I'm going to say that res.render. And then the name of the template is called reminders, comma, and then the object. Now with this one, let's try out. If I reload our working project, which is this one, we have reminders is not defined. The issue here is that at the back end, we are not passing a reminder property, but on the template, we are accessing the reminders as, let me show you here, not this one, yeah, reminders. Therefore, let's pass in some reminders and use empty array for this. This one is for demonstration purposes. If I reload, it says that title is not defined. Let me also pass in a title. I'm going to use empty string and reload similar to the current page. All right, so let me pass the current page also. Let me call this one as reminders. And I believe we're going to see good news. Great. And we have no reminders found because we are not passing the actual reminders here. So I'm going to pass the actual reminders as that and bring comma here. And that is it. So if I reload, I'm going to see my reminder, which is project, and it's going to be scheduled with the email, message, time, and then the status. This one will run on this date. Great. So let's go ahead and schedule one more task. I'm going to use this email. I'm going to say that meeting with a client, and this date Let me select this and then schedule. Good. My reminders, I have 2. Now it's time for us to implement the cron. And the main goal for the Node-Cron is that it is going to execute when this time reaches. And that is what we are going to implement. We are going to implement the logic for calling our reminders when the time reaches. And we are going to use a package called Node-Cron. If you visit the npm registry and search for Node-Cron, this is the official package. As you can see, weekly download. This means it is very popular. And we have already installed that. So back to our project. I'm going to collapse, the one that we are done with it. And in here, I'm going to have a comment as cron job to check and send reminders. And it goes like this on the cron. That is the Node-Cron. On that, we have a method called schedule. We have already imported the Node-Cron, which is this one. Nice. So back here on the schedule as a function call, we're going to pass in 2 things. One is when we want to call this function and then the callback function to be called. With this, we want to call it at every minute. Therefore, we are going to provide 5 asterisks. So here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then place them in single quotes or double quotes and have some spacing between them. And then a callback function that's going to be called at every second. And that is our callback function using async. And this is where we are going to call our sending of the email, which is this. So back here in the callback, I'm going to use try and catch block. First step is that we will need the date. So const as now is equal to new date. Then we are going to fetch all the reminders. If the date on the reminder is less than or equal to now, then we are going to retrieve all the reminders in our database. So here as const reminders is equal to await. And then the reminder model dot find. For dot find, we can pass in additional queries as an object. And then in here, the schedule time. If it is less than now, then we know that the time has reached. Therefore, we can send that message. And it goes like this. We're going to use MongoDB operator as $LTE as less than or equal to. And then colon the now. And also, if the sent here is equal to false. Good. Then below here, we know that we have some reminders. Therefore, we are going to loop through it and then send the message to the individual users. And for this, we're going to use for and then const and then reminder of reminders. And this JavaScript, this one means that we are going to loop through the reminders array and going to have the individual reminder as this. And this is where we're going to call our transporter. So here we are going to await the transporter that we got from up here, which is transporter here. We have a method on that, which is called send email. And then as an object, we're going to pass in from which user. And we can get the user from process.env.email user. The to here is going to be the recipient. And we can get it from the reminder.email. If you check the reminder data in our DB, MongoDB here, we have the email of the user and then the message. So back to the app.js here, the two can be found on the reminder.email. And the message to send can be found on, I'm going to use text. It can be found on the reminder.message and then provide the subject as reminder app. Good. Then after that, we are going to use reminder.sent. We are going to update that to true. And since we have made some changes, unless we resave by using reminder.save, correct. And in the error here, in case something goes wrong, we are just going to log by saying that error sending reminders, comma, and then the actual error. And that is it, guys. So moment of truth. Everything is working fine. So back here, and that is our working project. I'm going to schedule this schedule. I'm going to use this email, and for this, let me say final project presentation, and my current time is 10:33, so I'm going to choose up to 35 and then schedule reminder. Under the reminders, this is the current one, and at 10:35 it is going to be updated, so let's wait. Well, before I continue, let me delete the entire database. So I'm going to click on the reminders and then copy the name, not this one, then type the name of the collection. When I check the application, reload, all right, we have no reminder. I'm going to schedule one, that is schedule reminder. I'm going to use this email and then demo. And then the date, it is 10:41. I'm going to use 10:42 and then schedule. And reminders, we have it as pending. And let me check I think the time is too short for this. Let me schedule a new one. And then demo 2, the time is 10:42. Let me use 43. All right. And then reminders. At 10:43, we are supposed to get our email and also update the status. So let's wait. All right, the time has reached and reload. We still see pending. Let's check our terminal. And for some reasons, we have an error that says that error sending reminders can't use sent with date. And the error can be found on model.find. So let's locate that. Remove this one, not this one. In the app here, for the reminders, okay, line number 96, this one's supposed to be outside with the date. Yeah, sorry guys. So with this one, it has been restarted. Let me reload, and then I'm gonna schedule new one in NovoDev as meet client. Then the date, I'm gonna use 46 and then schedule reminders. All right, so let's wait to see our message being sent at this time. And we've got these ones being updated, which means that the error is being fixed. All right, so let me reload and the email has been sent. Let me check inside my email, reload, and I got it as reminder. And this is a message as meet client. Great. All right, guys, so here ends this project. You can extend this project by including additional features like authentication.